Coming up on WUFT First at 5, strong storms left behind a trail of destruction in Citrus County, where county officials believe multiple tornadoes hit the area.
And while the rain has moved out, hotter weather is moving in, but not for long. The UF weather is timing out when cooler weather will hit this weekend. Plus, as the war between Israel and Hamas continues, Palestinian students at UF are working to provide support for each other and abroad.
First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
Citrus County leaders are working to assess the damage after strong storms moved through the area this morning. These are pictures of the aftermath of what leaders believe was a tornado that touched down. The National Weather Service will determine if a tornado moved through. WUFT's chief meteorologist Jeff George says there were over 30 tornado watches and warnings across parts of Florida overnight. While things were calmer here in Gainesville, heavy showers still hit parts of the city off and on today, and it has remained overcast for much of the afternoon. In our area, Crystal River was hit by the hardest of today's storms. Welcome to WUFT First at 5. I'm Rafael de los Santos.
And I'm Francis Kapper. Today, weather crews are determining if multiple tornadoes touch down. WFT's Alexa Herrera is live in the studio. And Alexa, you traveled to Citrus County and saw the extent of the damage?
The damage was so extensive it forced the Citrus County Sheriff's Office to close several roads and school leaders to cancel classes for the day. It was all in an effort to assess the damage, clear the area, and keep everyone safe.
So the National Weather Service is going to send out a survey team a little bit later on today to rate that tornado.
The possible tornado caused roads to be blocked, schools to close, and neighbors without power this morning as the heavy bands moved throughout Citrus County. Damages were reported, including rising water levels that caused a wooden dock to snap on Kings Bay in Crystal River. WUFT Chief Meteorologist Jeff George says more than 24 tornado watches and warnings were spread across this area between last night and today.
Since 2:30 this morning, there have also been 3 other tornado warnings that were issued at 5:30, at 7:30, and 11:30 this morning. So the survey teams that go out later will try to confirm and see if there were maybe possibly up to 3 other tornadoes that touched down through Citrus County.
The UF weather radar showed the strong storms moving through for hours overnight. The area was under a flood advisory, but it's been lifted in the last few hours. The Citrus County Sheriff's Office is still monitoring the water levels and roadways. Reporting live in the newsroom, Alexa Herrera, WUFT News.
And of course, looking outside right now, a very different story to what we had seen earlier in the day with those tornado warnings and watches that we saw throughout the state. So taking a look now at our next slide, we're going to be looking at what we saw. So right now we don't have any tornado watches and warning in place. Thankfully, that had expired around that 3 p.m. hour for all of Florida actually. So nothing to worry about going into your evening. However, looking at that next slide, for the rest of your evening, we see this band of rain that is going to be brought over by this low pressure system. And of course, for your evening tonight, those temperatures are only going to be dropping down to 74 degrees. Some conditions are going to be remaining that we're seeing right now. Those cloudy conditions, not really anything to worry about going into your Thursday evening just before the weekend now. Of course, coming up, we have those rain chances decreasing, a big cool down on the way, and is that sweater weather here to stay?
We will continue to bring you the latest from the cleanup. To see a gallery of today's storms damage and the latest weather forecast, head to our website, WUFT.org.
Former UF football player and current Detroit Lions linebacker Alex Anzalone's parents are heading back to the U.S. after being in Israel. We learned earlier this week his parents were in the country when fighting with Hamas broke out. He posted to social media today giving thanks for his prayers for his family. The USS Gerald R. Ford, the world's largest warship ever created, arrived in the eastern Mediterranean Sea late last night. U.S. leaders say they want to deter any potential aggression from Israel from surrounding countries and contain the fighting within Israel's borders.
Israeli forces have announced ground invasion of the Gaza Strip. It's the latest move in the 6th day of fighting between Israel and Hamas. Secretary of State Antony Blinken arrived in Tel Aviv today to meet with the leaders and survivors of the Hamas attacks. U.S. leaders say more than 100 hostages, including Americans, are being held by the Hamas in an unknown location in Gaza. Israel's energy minister said Gaza will not be provided any electricity, water, or fuel until the hostages being held by Hamas are returned home. With incoming airstrikes, congressional leaders here in the U.S. are fearing for their safe return.
We're doing everything we can to secure the release of the hostages, working closely with our Israeli partners.
Hamas is ISIS, and just as ISIS was crushed, so too will Hamas be crushed.
After leaving Tel Aviv, Secretary Blinken will travel to Qatar to meet with senior officials on Friday. Says a senior U.S. official, Qatar has been one of the key actors in talks with Hamas to try to secure the release of the hostages. And back in the States, Congress is working on an aid package for Israel, but will not be able to move forward until a House Speaker is elected. Back in Gainesville, students are protesting in support of Palestine today on UF campus. WFT's Jacob Sedesse is live from Turlington Hall, where protesters are beginning to gather. Jacob?
Yes, Rafael, I'm here outside of UF's Turlington Hall, where students are gathered in support of Palestine. Now, this isn't a traditional protest. Organizers instead tell me that they're hoping to educate students on the history of the conflict between Israel and Palestine. Now, as you can see behind me, security is tight. They're swiping people up and down with metal detectors and checking bags and backpacks. That comes after Monday night's vigil in support of Israel, where a false alarm caused a panic, leading students to run away from the event. But as people who are attending tonight's event tell me, they're not afraid this time. Live at the University of Florida, Jacob Sedesse, WUFT News.
Governor Ron DeSantis has issued an executive order to mobilize, rescue, and evacuation of Floridians trapped in Israel. Some families already started arriving in South Florida on their own this week. In the order, the governor says that there are more than 20,000 Americans in Israel who want to come home but cannot. The order allows the Florida Division of Emergency Management to bring Floridians home and to transport necessary supplies to Israel. University of Florida President Ben Sasse penned a letter to Jewish Gator alumni following the Vigil for Israel. The vigil was hosted in UF's Turlington Plaza and ended in a crowd rush after an attendee fainted, leading to mass panic. President Sasse expressed his concern for potential anti-Israel protests on campus in the coming days. President Sasse said in our email that our educational mission here begins with the recognition and explicit acknowledgement of human dignity, the same human dignity that Hamas terrorists openly scorn. Every life matters. We are committed to that truth. President Sasse also stated that the university will defend student safety while protecting their First Amendment rights. We will protect our Jewish students from violence. If anti-Israel protests come, we will absolutely be ready to act if anyone dares to escalate beyond peaceful protest. Speech is protected. Violence and vandalism are not. His email also included statements saying that Hamas is a terrorist organization, condemning anyone supports him. What Hamas did is evil, and there is no defense for terrorism. He said that supporting Hamas isn't just wrong, it is sickening and dehumanizing. President Sasse has made his position clear. He supports Israel, and he supports Jewish students on campus who have been affected. UF has the largest Jewish community of any public university in the country.
The University of Florida Police Department is still looking for this dog named Coda. He was lost during Monday night vigil for Israel on campus when students began running and screaming. UFPD posted this flyer Wednesday and asked students to share it as well. If you see Coda, call his owner at 352-660-5081 or call the police department.
When we come back to WFT, the Daniella Police Department is rebranding, why they had to give a facelift to their logo and fleet.
And Alachua County Public Schools is working to make sure students are eating healthy. Who they are partnering with to provide nutritious snacks to students, coming up on WFT News First at 5.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
The Alachua County School District is taking a bite into creative ways to make healthy eating fun for students. WFT's Charlize Ramos is live in the studio with a closer look at what those initiatives look like.
The Alachua County Public Schools Food and Nutrition Department partnered with Edible Arrangements to promote healthy eating in an exciting way.
The Fresh Fruit and Vegetable program helps students at 19 elementary schools learn about and try new healthy foods. The schools were selected based on need.
We have 460 classrooms that will receive the Edible Arrangement bouquet.
The program includes fruits that some students have never even heard of before.
We had one student go home and share a pomelo with their families and talked about it, and the family had never heard about it. They reached out to us on social media saying, "My child tried this at school today," and we weren't quite sure what it was.
FFVP provides students with educational information about different fruits and vegetables. The goal of the program? To help students feed their bodies and minds.
It's very exciting to hear that feedback and know that it's something that they really liked and they took it back and now they're enjoying it on a weekly basis in their home.
Students at some schools have already received the special treat, and distribution will continue through the 27th of October. Live from the newsroom, Charlize Ramos, WUFT News.
The Daniella Police Department celebrated its rebranding initiative this morning. They held a ribbon cutting at 10 a.m. where the old police station cars were met with new art. Alligators, eagles, and the Rainbow River all featured on one of its 12 police cars. It's all in the current Daniella Police Chief Chris Scaglione's effort to let people know there's a new police department in town. The station's rebranding turns a fresh page for the station following former Chief McQuaig's resignation, which cited a lack of funding and related repairs needed at the police station. Chief Scaglione has unveiled a mural, the car wrap project, and a new department logo in his brief time at the station.
New flashing lights will help some Alachua County students make it to school safely. Alachua County Public Works has installed 6 rapid rectangular flashing beacons. They are located in front of Kanapa Middle, Lake Forest Elementary, and East Side High School. Each crosswalk has 2 flashing beacons with solar-powered lights. When a pedestrian presses a button, the beacons flash for 20 seconds. The beacons signal drivers to stop when the lights flash, helping the pedestrian cross the street safely.
We have a range, a number of crosswalks, and we've kind of looked to prioritize those in terms of sort of ease of installation, and that means lower cost, but also looking at where pedestrian volumes are higher, where they'll have the most benefit.
Pedestrians will now be more visible to drivers when crossing the street.
With Florida temperatures finally feeling like fall, there's a new way to enjoy the Alachua County outdoors. The Pfeiffer Flatwoods Preserve has added a new 1.4-mile trail called the Wide Pond Loop. Access halfway through the Turpentine Loop, the total length is 4.6 miles. The trailhead is located on County Road 2082 in Hawthorne with parking along the roadside. Other trails in the preserve can be accessed through the nearby Gainesville-Hawthorne Trail. The new loop is on a 30-acre parcel bought in 2020 for $104,000. The trails are free to enjoy by hikers, equestrians, and cyclists 7 days a week.
And we're going to warm back up before our next major cool down.
UF forecaster Daniella Rudolph is timing out the cooler weather.
So we are going to be having a big cool down. We're also going to be seeing something that we're tracking in the tropics as of right now. Not really doing anything to temperatures, but we are going to be seeing that big cool down after today.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
There is footage of that water spout that we saw near Clearwater Beach. So this actually started as a thunderstorm over the ocean, and as it made its way toward land, it actually turned into a tornado when it hit the shore. And of course, this was near Clearwater Beach, but I'm going to be looking at the other storm warnings that we had throughout the day. We had about 30 tornado watches and warnings over the past 24 hours, so it's been really, really busy in the atmosphere. Looking at those storm reports right now, this yellow is going to indicate those areas we saw large hail. The blue is high wind, and of course the red is going to be these confirmed tornadoes. We're going to be expecting probably to see a little bit more confirmed tornadoes as the National Weather Service heads out and does their survey. But this one here near Crystal River, it's the same tornado that was reported twice, so 2 people spotted it. And then of course this, we just saw that incredible footage of that water spout near Clearwater Beach that started off, as I said, as that thunderstorm offshore, making its way toward the shore and turning into a tornado. So thank goodness right now we're in the clear. We don't have any tornado watches nor warnings in the state of Florida, so we should be good for the rest of the afternoon. Now, in terms of the campus cam, taking a live look outside right now, painting a very different picture to what we saw a little bit earlier when we had those heavy rains. Temperatures right now at 77, but if you stepped outside today, you would have noticed how muggy it is. Of course, that muggy meter literally sitting in the sweltering category right now. Outside was soupy, really gross to be outside. Tomorrow, unfortunately, not really going to be any different. We are seeing again in that sweltering muggy category, but then going into your Saturday, cooling down just a little bit, look at that big drop on Sunday, down to 48 for the muggy meter. It's going to be wonderful to be outside. On Friday, we do have that 50% chance of rain. Now, of course, as I said, those humid conditions are going to remain with us tomorrow. And of course, these temperatures are looking really lovely in the morning. Don't let that fool you. It is going to be feeling much, much hotter than those temperatures, and it's going to be feeling hot to be outside tomorrow. Now, of course, the football game, the Gators are going to be taking on the Gamecocks in South Carolina. Of course, that football forecast, those temperatures cooling off to around 73, starting out around 77. You're going to have a temperate tailgate. And then we are tracking those tropics. As I said, we are going to have this tropical depression Sean, not really doing anything to us here in the United States.
Gator soccer is on the road tonight in Arkansas. With the Razorbacks leading the SEC West, the Gators will be in for a fight. All that and more in sports coming after the break.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Welcome to sports. I'm Reighan Sheppard. Gator soccer is coming off 2 slow weeks in the field. The team faced the Georgia Bulldogs on Sunday, but neither opponent was able to find the back of the net. The Gators took only 2 shots on goal last game, so they will be seeking more goal opportunities tonight as they take on Arkansas on the road. The Razorbacks are #1 in the SEC West. Kickoff is set for 7 p.m. in Little Rock. Playoffs are right around the corner for high school volleyball, but not so fast. There's just one more game that stands in their way. As Newberry High School takes on Lafayette tonight at 7 p.m., they will be hoping to maintain their #1 spot in the 1A district. Seniors Hannah Templeton, Sarah Watson, and Haley Tharp are hoping to sustain their momentum as their stats are amongst the best in the state, according to the Florida High School Athletic Association. With tonight being senior night, Newberry will be looking to use that energy to propel them into this playoff season. Gator football is coming off a big homecoming win in the Swamp. After defeating Vanderbilt last week, the Gators got right back on track heading into South Carolina this weekend. The Gators rushed for 215 yards against Vanderbilt, tripling their efforts from the week before. They will be looking to build upon their performance heading into South Carolina this weekend. Gator coach Billy Napier says he understands their quality of play has not been up to par on the road this season, with the Gators being 1-7 during his tenure.
Yeah, we've had our struggles, and ultimately it goes back to what I really believe is that it's just the quality of the football has not been very good in those 2 occurrences this year.
The Gators kick off against the Gamecocks on Saturday at 3:30 p.m. at Williams-Brice Stadium. That's all for sports. I'm Reighan Sheppard.
Thanks, Daniella. Thanks, Reighan. What are we doing?
So of course, taking one more look at that 7-day outlook, those temperatures absolutely dropping a little later on in the week. Gets that in just a second. But for your weekend, one more day until Friday. Very excited for this weekend. Those temperatures are going to be cooling off towards Sunday. So if you want to do something fun outside this weekend, definitely do it on Saturday when those temperatures are a little warmer. But if you like it cool like me, Sunday is a day for you. However, we're dropping down on Monday. Look at that Tuesday morning. 49, Wednesday morning, 48. So it's going to be a cool week next week. Definitely want to kick out some of your fall gear, a light sweater perhaps if you're heading to classes or heading out to work. And that's all for weather.
Thanks, Daniella. BBC World News is next, and the PBS NewsHour is coming up at 7.
But your Florida news is always online at WUFT.org. Have a good night.